everybody. Welcome to today's virtual career talks. My name is Andrew Soliz. I'm from the Career Services Center here at Mission College. Today we have two great employers. We have Caitlin from Discovery Hope and Lisa from Slingshot Connections. Caitlin, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andrew. Yeah, my name is Caitlin Kilgore, and I'm the Director of People and Client Relations at Discover Hope. We're a small ABA company in Fremont, California.
Thank you. Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa Mitchell. I'm with Slingshot Connections. We're a staffing workforce here in the Bay Area, helping our community get back to work. So I'm here to help and talk to you guys and see how I can guide you to the next steps.
Wonderful. So we have a really great presentation coming up from Caitlin, but I want to remind students, please keep your mic and cameras off. Any questions that you have, please put them in the chat and we'll address those after the two employers present, and we'll have a group Q&A. If you have to leave early, we will have this session recorded on the Career Services Center YouTube channel, and all the information that the employers are giving me that they allow me to, I'll put in the description box. So you can check out the videos that Caitlin is going to show you guys, as well as any information that Lisa has for some of the great positions that she has throughout Silicon Valley. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Caitlin.
All right, thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you guys for having us. We are really always excited to talk to people in the Bay Area about what we do, and love talking to students especially. It's a really big passion of mine. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for this presentation. All right. Sorry about that. Hold on one second. Okay, so to start off, I know that a lot of people here in the news hear frequently about the rates of autism, whether or not you know an individual with autism. The most recent statistics are something, and 1 in 64 children are diagnosed with autism. So whether or not you do know an individual with autism is something that has been growing over the last decade. So in terms of applied behavior analysis, if we were in person, this is where I'd ask for a show of hands, but since we're not, applied behavior analysis is the most effective treatment for autism. There's decades and decades of research to back up its effectiveness. And thankfully, in 2011, in California, it was legislation was passed to fund ABA therapy, applied behavior analysis therapy. So now more than ever, more children get access to this therapy in the last 10 years. So it's really, really exciting. I've been in the field of ABA since 2006. And so since 2011, it's just been that much more meeting the need of kids and adults as well. We specifically work with kids in the Bay Area and across the state. So ABA is adapted to meet the needs of unique individuals. We individualize treatment plans for each child as they come into our services. So that means we don't have any kind of boilerplate, kind of cookie cutter plans that we have for each kid. It's completely individualized for each child based on their needs. We address socially significant behaviors. So socially significant being their ability to be successful socially and kind of be a part of society in a social matter, in terms of language, in terms of being able to, go into schools and things where they are able to interact with their peers and things like that. We teach everyday skills, and we also work on decreasing kind of more problem behaviors and increasing more pro-social, more positive behaviors. So in applied behavior analysis, our overall goal is independence and improving just overall functioning, like I mentioned. So for communication, pragmatic skills, those are more social skills, self-help, washing hands, toileting, things like that, and then social skills and play and ways that other kids can interact with their peers. So kind of broad categories of what we work on in the ABA world. So to go into a little bit more detail on that, in terms of communication, that's a big part of what we do as a company who does ABA therapy. So there's receptive and expressive communication, expressive being our use of language, and whether that's vocal speech, or whether that's ASL, whether that's sign language, whether that's communication with pictures, some way for the children we work with to be able to communicate. This is the #1 most important thing for any of us, right? If we, you and I, for everyone, if you can't communicate your needs and wants, I'm sure we can all imagine how extremely frustrating that would be. So it's a huge part of what we do. And then receptive communication is your understanding of language. Are you able to follow instructions? Are you understanding what is being said to you? So this is some things that we work on kind of in that domain. And then pragmatic communication or social skills. So imitation is a big part of building blocks of future social skills. One of those things that we don't necessarily always think about as being important for social skills, but it's actually a huge part of social skills. When you see little kids, toddlers, and they're imitating what people do. Someone waves and they wave back. Someone, claps their hands and they clap back. That's actually a really, really important building block that is crucial for later social skills. And then picking up on things like other people's nonverbal cues, being able to have conversations with their peers. These are all really, really important social skills that we work on for our clients. Self-help skills, like I mentioned, teeth brushing, dressing, toileting, things like street safety. Are they aware of their surroundings by a street and able to stay safe? Obviously, this is hugely important. Like we talked about it, I talked about in the beginning, it's socially significant, right? Because it's so crucial for all of us to know these skills. And then the social and the play skills as well. So being able to, for the child to be successful in preschool or in elementary school or whatever age, being able to do turn-taking games and pretend play, right? This is gonna help them engage with their peers and make those social connections. If they're not able to engage with some of these things, right, that can be a little stigmatizing. There might be kids who are less willing to play with those children. So really, really important they do have the skills to participate in activities like that with their peers. And then maladaptive behaviors, right? So things that are, pretty typical for a 2-year-old, but maybe less appropriate for a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, right? Having tantrums, hitting, kicking, swearing, self-injurious behavior, things like hitting themselves, biting themselves, things like that. Definitely things that aren't safe for them or for others. So we work to put in place behavior plans to help them decrease these behaviors, and again, have more pro-social behaviors to interact with others and get their needs met. So a little bit about Discover Hope and what we do. So we're a very small company in the Bay Area. We've been growing over the last few years, but we really have a small kind of family style organization. It's really important to us that we maintain this really fun, casual culture. We take our work very seriously, but we also like to have fun for sure. We've been the recipient of the Bay Area's and the nation's Best and Brightest for the past 5 years, which has been such an honor and been really exciting. This is our mission statement. We exist to inspire pivotal growth and hope in the lives of children, families, the community, and our team. And so I really like this because what we do, the core of our work and who we serve are children and families in the Bay Area. But at the same time, part of our mission is also to provide that exact same support to our team. We work with and have a lot of members of our team who are college students, and this is a huge part of their support in terms of a first job or things like that, where they are able to grow and learn clinical skills, professional skills, and things like that. These are our core values. We have 5 core values at Discover Hope. One is put people first, which is again for our clients and for our staff, for our team members. That's really important that we have both of those components. We are passionate about excellence. Like I mentioned, we are very, very dedicated to what we do and make sure we're doing everything with high quality. We're providing the most high quality ABA in the Bay Area. That is always our goal. We are proud to be silly. As I mentioned, we like to have fun, and we're definitely a silly group. And then we check our egos at the door. We all come in with a very humble attitude of learners. I always say I'm learning new things every day, and I've been working in ABA for 15 years, so there's always just more to learn. And we also have a really extremely crazy, awesome integrity team members that are just so honest and transparent about everything that's going on, which is really critical because we work in home-based work, and you're not kind of sitting right there next to your supervisor like at some positions. You're out and you're in homes, so that communication with our supervisors is just so critical. This slide talks a little bit about the growth that we offer Discover Hope. So I think what's really exciting about Discover Hope is that our behavior assistant, our entry-level position, is truly entry-level. We require a high school diploma, and college is not required to start in this field. And so I think that's really exciting. That's something kind of that you get everywhere. The growth then includes becoming a behavior therapist once you pass our initial exam in your first 90 days. And then as you kind of grow in the ABA field and you learn more about how to conduct ABA therapy, there's options to become a senior behavior therapist, a program supervisor, which does require a bachelor's degree, and then into a clinical director role. And that's what I am. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, which is a master's degree level. So there's so much room for growth in this industry because there's a lot of different levels. So whether someone's just interested in trying it out and seeing if they like it, or someone's like, no, I know I like this. This is what I want to do. Both of those types of team members are part of our team. The behavior assistant position, again, is the entry-level position. Excuse me. We have training that includes online modules. We do in-office lectures. During COVID, it hasn't been in office. It's been via Zoom, but hopefully in office again at some point. Observations of senior therapists running their sessions, and ongoing overlaps and training with our supervisors. So I'm going to show this video, and it's a little bit about what it's like to be a behavior assistant. So let me go ahead and switch over.
While you're doing that, Caitlin, I just want to mention to the new participants that we have in the call, we're going to have a group Q&A at the end. So please put all your questions in the chat, and we'll address those at the end. But so far, this is great information. So it looks like they have multiple levels based on your education where you could fit into the company culture. So I know we'll probably touch base on that a little later, but I just wanted to emphasize that. That's really good.
Great. Thank you so much, Andrew. All right, go ahead and start this.
To be a behavioral therapist, you definitely have to love working with kids. You have to have a lot of patience. I think more than anything, though, you really have to be able to see the potential in the kids that you work with and love them enough to put in that effort to get them there.
We are trying to do a job that is quite unconventional because we're trying to teach while playing. There's no textbook on how everything is done. You really have to be thinking all the time, constantly be on your feet. And if something's not working, you instantly have to say, okay, I need to try something else. So you have to think of new strategies on the go all the time.
From the very first day upon hiring, Discover Hope has done nothing but support me and train me for my position, and they have helped me adapt to different environments that I'll be around, and they really have just supported me in every possible way.
That starts with the coaches and the supervisors. It is very important to communicate with each other because we don't see what other people are doing. Mostly through email, we keep in contact with them to update them on how things are going and whether or not they need to come out and update the binder or make changes and observe, and also email with fellow therapists so that we can let them know what things are working, what's not working. This kind of work is important to me because I want to do something that's about more than the money. I want to help change lives, and I think we do that not only with the clients but with the people around them and their families. I think we really do make a difference in their lives.
What's gratifying most about this job is seeing the progress and improvements that our children are making. It's also really gratifying to see the families have hope and grow together and know that their child is integrating into society.
I enjoy the flexibility of the job. The hours are very flexible. I'm in school right now, so I enjoy actually having a gap in the middle of my day so I can relax, have lunch, and And being in school, I enjoy having that time in the afternoon to study so that at night I'm more free to maybe hang out with friends and do that kind of stuff. Our scheduler does a great job to make sure everyone gets the hours that they want and also schedule so that we're not having work during times that we're not available.
I would encourage absolutely anybody who's interested in working at Discover Hope to do so. We get to do amazing work alongside amazing people, and no matter if it's hard or if it's easy, it's all extremely rewarding.
All right, let me just navigate back over to the PowerPoint. Yeah, and one question I know I get quite a bit when I hear the term therapist, that's often something people go, why don't you need a license to be a therapist? So that term can be a little misleading, which is why we sometimes use the term behavior assistant. But I just wanted to reiterate that it is an entry-level position, and we provide all that training to become certified. We use a certification called the BCAT certification. So just wanted to say a little bit about that. But so we work with kids only, and then they age out at 18. I'd say the bulk of our clients are kind of in the, like 4 to 12, probably even like 4 to 7 is kind of the bulk of the clients we have at this time. We provide community support, preschool support. Some of that is a bit on hold right now with COVID, of course. But we are primarily a home-based organization. So we go to the client's home and work with the children there. Sessions are anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours in length. And we serve multiple areas in the Bay Area. We go up as far north as San Leandro and as far south as San Jose. And so we serve kind of the we just call South Bay, because it includes, Cupertino, Sunnyvale, and again, most of San Jose. And then we go up through Fremont, Hayward, and up to as far as San Leandro. Requirements for this position are a driver's license, reliable transportation does require having your own car. Any position, when you're going to work with children is going to require a background check, and then availability is really important. So this is a position that is really good usually for students who have classes in the mornings and things like that, because our peak time is when kids get out of school. We work with children, and most of the time they're in school till 3. So that afternoon peak time often really also works well for college students, which is a benefit as well. And then of course, enjoying working with children is a huge part of the position. It is a part-time position. The minimum hours we have staff work is 15, and there's always room for growth if people want more later on. I know personally I started in this field when I was in undergrad, and I started really part-time, and once I graduated, I went up to more full-time. So definitely, again, opportunities and options for growth. Flexible work schedules, like I mentioned, the BCAT certification I mentioned. We also do additional training like CPR. Safety care is a training we do on managing challenging behaviors, and the opportunities for growth again. So just if you're ever considering, is this type of work for me? Again, thinking through these things. Do you really enjoy working with kids? Do you want a company that values you and really supports its team members? Gaining that career experience and kind of dipping your toe in the water if you're like, I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm interested in psychology or child development, or even we have sometimes people interested in the medical field and becoming a nurse or a doctor, like a pediatrician, and they want to get that experience with children. It's great opportunity for that. And having a passion for making a difference. We make a huge difference in the work that we do, and it's really exciting. It's why I love what I do, is getting to see kids make progress and also see how excited the parents get. That's a huge part of what I love personally. So if you're interested in learning more, just we'd love you guys to reach out to us. Our email address is on here on our website. So check us out, and would love to answer any questions anyone has.
Wonderful. Keep putting those questions in the chat. We're going to come back to those after Lisa talks about her positions. We already have some questions in the chat. I did put the link for discoveryhope.com as one of them. And then, of course, I'll make sure to get this information from Caitlin, and we can make sure to put it in the description box of the video that this is going to be on our Career Services Center YouTube channel. But please stick around. This is a great opportunity. We could talk one-on-one, so to speak, with actual employers. As I mentioned before earlier in the session, is that this is what's the difference between just looking at a job posting and actually speaking to the people that do the job. So definitely thank you everybody that's in the call. But I'll make sure that as you guys ask for links, I'll make sure to put those in the description of the YouTube channel. But I wanted to give time to Lisa to talk about her positions. But please keep those questions coming in the comments. Lisa?
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Caitlin, for sharing so much about Discover Hope. It's so interesting. I know that I learned a lot while you were speaking about it. So interesting. I would might have to share your company with some people that I know for sure. I love what you do there. Okay, so I'm with Slingshot Connections. There's no slides, so we're just gonna have a conversation. So Slingshot we're a staffing workforce. We're based in San Jose. We have another branch that's in the Central Coast. And we help you find work. So we work with different companies throughout Silicon Valley, and we help staff for their companies. One that I wanted to share with you is based in the Fremont area or in the East Bay. And I want to share it with you because we have different shifts that might work with your school schedule. A lot like Caitlin was talking about with the 3 to 7. This one, it's actually in the evening. It goes 3:45 to 12:15. So if you're going to school during the day, then you'll have all that time to get your schoolwork done, have a little break, and then still work a full-time job. So it's 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday. If you're choosing to do night classes, we have a 6:45 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. and still Monday to Friday. So you're having that full 40 hours a week. And then there's overtime on Saturdays. So working with Slingshot, you do get benefits. I know that that's a big one for some folks. Medical, dental, vision, life insurance. After your 30 days, you're eligible to enroll in that, and we pay 51% of your premium. So there's that. There's direct deposit as well. So you don't have to worry about that, and you're paid every Friday. It is for a manufacturing company that we're working with that builds the cloud or data servers. So you're going to learn a lot about that. If that's kind of something that you want to get into, and there's room for growth as well. It's kind of a hands-on position. You would be around other folks, but during this time of the pandemic, obviously everyone's really spaced out. You're still wearing your masks and everything. So we're following the CDC guidelines. There's also what's called a COVID pay on top of each hourly rate. So that's to be ongoing until something changes and they decide that we're in a different tier, and then they take it away. But for now, that's still ongoing and happening now. If you're not in the Fremont area and you're looking for something else, we do have San Jose, Milpitas, Morgan Hill, what else? Palo Alto, Redwood City. So there's a lot of other different companies that we're working with throughout Silicon Valley. That was just one thing that I wanted to share with you because of the timing. So aside from the job openings, Slingshot, we also offer, there's testing. So if you want to kind of see where you are, if you need to have a specific skill that you're looking for, like Excel or something else online, and you're just not sure where you stand on that, we will give you a free test to shoot over to you, and you could take a look at that and see where you stand, and then go from there. And you're like, okay, well, maybe I need to sharpen XYZ skill. So that will kind of help you see where you stand as far as that goes. Resumes, we help with resume building. Maybe you haven't even started a resume, or you're not sure where to start or what to have on there, what to highlight. So we'll just work with you one-on-one. I can meet with you on Thursdays generally from 10 to 11, or we can schedule another time that works for you. And then we'll start. I'll ask you some simple questions about, what have you done, and really just highlight what skills you have, so we can kind of polish that up. Resumes are really important with getting across to companies and employers. So I want to make sure that you stand out as best as possible. Another thing that we help with is with LinkedIn profiles. You may or may not realize it, but when you're looking for work, a company or a hiring manager will look you up on LinkedIn. Maybe Facebook, but LinkedIn is the place to go. They want to see, what school you went to or what jobs you were at, who you're connected with, how many connections you have. Those types of things are also important to know. So sorry I don't have a slide, but thank you so much for checking this out. I do want to drag your attention to the chat box. Andy, if you could put the website for Slingshot. And then
let me make you a co-host, and you can show
okay.
all that good stuff, because you guys are awesome. And so you guys know, Slingshot is all up and down the Bay Area. So depending on where you are, if you guys are local by Mission College, San Jose, Santa Clara, Milpitas, they're all over the place, as well as the other places that Lisa mentioned. She's going to put some information in the chat. I'm going to check with Lisa to see what she wants to put in the description box of the YouTube channel. We want to make sure to give you as much information as possible. Thank you guys all for being here. It's been a really good, the questions that you guys have been putting in the chat box, as well as the wonderful presentation that Caitlin had. So while Lisa's doing that, I wanted to make sure that if you guys have any needs, or if you guys need to leave, just know that we're recording this session. So please keep your mics and camera off. And then after Lisa's done putting that information in, we're going to start the group Q&A. So we'll start asking the employers those questions that you guys are putting in the chat box. Okay, thanks so much.
You're so awesome. Thank you so much. I just put in our website for Slingshot Connections, so you can check that out. It shows all of our job openings that we have, aside from the ones that I mentioned today. And then I also dropped the email if you have questions that you don't want to say online, or you're just don't feel like speaking. You can go ahead and just email me too, and I'm happy to answer for you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. So we're going to switch over to the group Q&A session. So I'm going to start with the ones that are in the chat first, and then we'll move on to some questions for both employers. And this is really good professional development time for our candidates to ask those kind of questions that you would ask at a job fair, where you would want to maybe ask about the company culture, the work life of the positions that you'd be getting into. Okay. But the first question that we had was if Caitlin can go over the salary, kind of a base salary information for those type of positions that you spoke of.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is an entry-level position. So salary starts in the $16 to $19 an hour range, based on if you have, been working on your degree, like how much college you've done so far, if you have experience with children, if you're bilingual, factors like that to kind of factor into our pay scale. Yeah, great question.
Wonderful. And then we had a candidate ask, Caitlin, if you could put the best way to get in contact either with yourself or with your team, if you have a generic. I know you put it on your slide, and I was only able to grab that one link. So if you wouldn't mind, just putting one, and then I'll make sure that we could keep cycling that for those individuals that are maybe coming late to the session.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat right now. That goes to myself and to Kimmy, who's on the call as well, who's our recruiting assistant. So I'm going to go ahead and put that email in the chat.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then I was going to ask a few other questions and this will be for both employers. We'll start with Caitlin. So can you talk a little bit about what the employment outlooks for your field right now for the candidates on the call?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And there are, like I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, there is a growing rise of children being diagnosed with autism. And at this point, ABA therapy is only funded by insurance companies with that diagnosis. So anyone who gets that diagnosis is in the state of California is required by law to have that insurance funding. And so because that number is not going down anytime soon. It looks like there is tons of opportunities in the ABA world. You know, obviously I'm biased to Discover Hope, but there are specifically in the Bay Area are tons of ABA companies. It's a huge field. It's a growing field, especially in the last 10 years. I like to say when I started in the field 15 years ago, and nobody knew what ABA was, nobody had heard about it, and it's different nowadays. You know, definitely more people are aware of oh, I've heard of ABA therapy, you know, things like that. So it's definitely a field that is growing, and I don't see it you know, stopping anytime soon. I think there's going to be a huge need for it in the upcoming years, and probably more.
Wonderful. Lisa?
Sorry, say the question one more time so I can best answer.
What is the employment outlook that you guys are looking at in the particular opportunities that you have for candidates?
So our outlook as far as what types of positions?
Or what type of positions that you're seeing the majority of now for the candidates that are on the call?
So mainly they would be more of the hands-on positions at the essential businesses that have stayed open and are ever growing, which is a lot in the manufacturing. I do get a lot of questions for, you know, what can I do remotely? But with so many companies that are coming back on site, we're breaking through that. So a lot more of, I do have a lot of manufacturing, more of production on the line. There are some administrative positions that are open, a lot in, I want to say like banking, a lot in banking too. Not so much receptionist jobs that I see coming out, but over the phone sales, that's a big one too. So yeah, on site. I think one of the main questions that I get is, what do you have that's remote? And they're just going, they're going on site. So do keep an open mind about how we're going to get back out there into the workforce, how you're going to contribute to the safety around you to get back to work, because that is something that is on the rise.
And I wanted to mention to the candidates, now, even though you might go on site with a particular employer, they have to follow county guidelines for the pandemic. So for any reasons that you don't feel that that employer is not following those guidelines, definitely circle back to me, as well as, you know, any of your direct contacts with that employer to let them know that they need to follow those guidelines. There are heavy fines if they do not follow them. And I'm pretty sure any opportunities that are spoken about in this event, they will follow county guidelines for the pandemic if they're not remote positions. So I wanted just to add that, Lisa, because I'm pretty sure any companies that Slingshot Connections work with, that they all follow county guidelines. And of course, Discover Hope, you guys are awesome with your clients, as well as the way you guys do business. So I wouldn't be surprised that you guys follow those guidelines as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, Lisa, because it slipped my mind. But yeah, such an important question that we get a lot too recently is there remote work? And early in the pandemic, there was a little, as we did more some telehealth. But kind of like Lisa said, it's kind of things have been gearing back up in the last 6 months or so, and it really is an in-person position. But we take the guidelines extremely seriously with our staff, but with our families as well. We certainly don't accept a family who's saying, well, I don't want to wear a mask when the therapist's there. We won't work with that family. We take it very seriously. Your safety, safety of our team members, and other families as well. So it's always a great question. And of course, masks and sanitizing and all that good stuff. We just try to be as safe as possible until we're more out of the woods on this, and hopefully in the upcoming months. Who knows?
Yeah, things are getting better, and I know especially for Santa Clara County, things are looking up, and then hopefully slowly but surely we'll get things somewhat back to normal. And of course, if we ever have a physical job fair at Mission College again, Discover Hope and Slingshot will be there, and we'll make sure that they have goodies. What I like about working with Slingshot, they have some of the best goodies on their table, and I can't wait for them to come back to the job fairs. And I don't think, Caitlin, you haven't been to one of our job fairs that we had at Mission College, have you?
I don't think we have. We did quite a few around the East Bay, but I don't think we specifically have done one at Mission College. So yes, we would love the opportunity in the future when those resume in person.
Wonderful. I am looking forward to those. I've been in the industry for about 8 years now, so I was trained in physical job fair. So definitely, I love the this virtual environment, but I do miss the candy, the goodies on the table, and working with employers. It's such a good time. It was a fun day. Anyways, getting back to the questions. So I have a few more. If you guys would humor me, I think it'll be really beneficial for the candidates to hear your guys' thoughts on these questions. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. So this one I wanted to point to Caitlin. If you can talk about the type of assignments that maybe an entry-level candidate would get when they start working with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a lot of upfront training in the first couple of weeks. So we do a live training with our clinical trainers. We do video modules. We do observations of sessions with our seasoned behavior therapists. So a lot of upfront training, and then the candidates the new team members start on their own clients and working with the children. We have supervisors who come and provide overlaps to make sure getting comfortable with the child and what their programs are. But in terms of the tasks, actually conducting the ABA therapy, that is the bulk of the role. And like I mentioned in the presentation, it's hard to pinpoint what we work on because we work on so many things. It depends on which child you're working with. So you might be working, you might be assigned to a 3-year-old who you're working on a lot of developing their speech and language. Maybe you're working on washing hands or learning how to put on their socks and shoes or things like that. And on the flip side, you might be assigned to maybe a 12-year-old, and maybe you're working on more things like social skills and having kind of conversations with peers to kind of prepare them to be with their peers in a social setting once those resume again. So yeah, we work on a whole variety of things. It kind of depends on who you're working with, but yeah, communication, self-help skills, behavior, kind of runs the gamut. So we go to the homes and we do that therapy directly with the child and work with the children and the families.
Wonderful, Caitlin. While you were talking, we had more questions for you. So we had a candidate ask about if you're hiring during this time, or can we apply toward the end of spring, meaning for community college students would be May, would be when they're going to transfer or graduate.
Absolutely, great question. Because of kind of things slowed down during COVID, we've geared back up and are kind of getting new clients. There are dozens and dozens and hundreds of families in the Bay Area who need this service, children who need this service. So we are certainly hiring now, and we're going to be anticipated to continue to be hiring in May, June time frame. So it's certainly not something where it's going to be filled right now in the upcoming weeks and then it's going to be done. We certainly anticipate having a need coming up for multiple months. And we do, again, have that need kind of across the Bay Area. So in the East Bay and San Leandro, Fremont, Hayward, Castro Valley, and then down into San Jose, Santa Clara, Cupertino. So kind of across the board, we have clients who have a need for this therapy. So we are definitely going to be continuing to hire in that time frame.
Yeah, Caitlin, I wanted to mention that it's very important during this time that everybody seeks mental health needs if they have them. I know that for a lot of individuals in the virtual environment, it may not be conducive to the way they learn or the way they're normally conducting with individuals. So definitely, if you need those services, let me know. I have some resources for you, and I'm pretty sure Caitlin would be happy to talk to you guys as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to also ask some questions. So what key experience, and this is for both employers, again, we'll go back to Caitlin, what key skills or experiences are highly desirable for the type of candidates that you want to attract to your positions?
Yeah, absolutely. So being that it's an entry-level position, thankfully, there isn't a lot of experience needed. It's nice to have experience working with children, although it's not a requirement. Although, I think you have to have a desire to work with children, and that sounds fun to you. Even if you haven't done it, that's okay. I think the biggest thing that we look for is excited people who are really excited to do this. They have that high affect, and we're often working with 2- and 3-year-olds, and I always joke that I come in and just kind of I'm like, hey, buddy. I'm like tickling and tossing up in the air and just trying to, trying to have fun with the child. That's kind of the biggest thing that the child responds to, as well as what the parents respond to. So I think someone who is energetic, excited, and wants to work with children and with families. Also, I'd say just kind of having some customer service skills. At the end of the day, where we are going into homes and working with the children, but the parents are there as well, and making sure that we are, responding appropriately to any questions and concerns that they have is also really important. So yeah, those are I'd say those are the biggest things. And then of course some kind of things I talked about in the PowerPoint, as far as we do require a vehicle, auto insurance and things like that, because we drive to the client's home, so that is a requirement for the position as well.
Thank you, Caitlin. Lisa?
Awesome. So for the positions that I had mentioned earlier in Fremont, they're more of like a manufacturing production role. Their physical requirements are really important. So if you're able to stand for a long period of time, lift, pull, push, move at least 50 pounds at any given time, that's a requirement there. We do run 7-year criminal background checks for majority of our clients. So that's one. And then as far as education goes, you would have to have a high school diploma. And then if you do move up within the company, they're gonna start asking you for an associate's or a certificate geared toward maybe A+ or C++, things like that. So that would be more for the manufacturing side. We do have like outbound calls, sales positions that are open too. So some phone experience using an auto dialer, multiple calls, smile while you're on the phone, customer service, like you said, and then just be able to really obtain the product knowledge and believe in what you are, what you're doing. So whether you're working for a manufacturing company, production, or in sales, just obtaining that product knowledge and believing in what you're doing for work, because that passion behind whatever it is that you're doing is really important as well.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And I wanted to ask both employers, how did you get into your organization or industry? We'll start with Lisa this time.
Oh, awesome. So I actually started as let's see. So it was over 5 years ago, and I was working remotely doing sourcing for a small company. And then I wanted to get out into the field and start working more with hands-on with people. And I had applied to Slingshot in 2016 and started as a recruiting coordinator there. And then, yeah, I was hired by Tess, if you know her. She's awesome. So Tess and T kind of like brought me under their wing and taught me the ropes, and I went to job fairs in the very beginning, made lots of calls, was recruiting quite a bit, succeeded as much as I possibly could. Now I am a talent and operations administrator. Yeah, I love it. I love people. I love working with people. And I get a lot of, like, my heart fills up when someone gets a job and their life changes and they can take care of themselves or their family and things like that. I just love being a part of this type of industry.
Wow. Same here. I won't tell my story, but same here. A lot of us in education, it's a passion career. We don't do it because we get commissions or when we help people with jobs and internships. It's fairly based on, like Lisa said, when you see in their eyes, like, hey, I got the internship, I got the job. That means a lot to me. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I agree with Lisa, is that we do what we do because we love helping people and we like seeing people succeed. But please, Caitlin, I would love to hear your story.
Yeah, absolutely. And so similar for me, but on with kids, with seeing the kids, make progress. I assume it's like a very similar feel. My heart fills up too. I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. But I started, I actually was in undergrad, like I mentioned, and my cousin, who was 3 at the time, got diagnosed with autism. And so I actually had no idea what ABA was. I never heard about it, but I went onto Craigslist and just put in keyword autism, just kind of out of curiosity of what was out there. And it was kind of the rest is history kind of thing. I started myself at an entry-level position, and after about a year or so at the company, I just realized this is what I want to do. I want to stay in this field. I want to grow in this field. And so I continued and got my master's degree, and I became a board certified behavior analyst. Yeah, just because of the love, again, like the love of doing the job, and seeing hearing a child speak their first word, and the parents start crying. I mean, I can't even, I get like chills when I talk about it, but I've seen it so many times. It's just so exciting. I've seen a kid ride a bike for the first time, just any of these kind of life skills that we work on. It's amazing to be a part of it. And what the parents are doing is obviously the bulk of it, but just to even be part of that team is really exciting. And I started at Discover Hope specifically in 2014. It was a company had probably 20 people at that time. They were really small then. And so I feel like I've almost been there from the beginning, and it's been an exciting journey. It's a really awesome company, really good place to work with a really tight culture, a really just tight group of people. And I just love my colleagues. So it makes it really fun to come to work.
Thank you, Caitlin. We had someone ask a question for you while you were talking. So the candidate asked, what major degree do you need to become a supervisor?
Yeah, great question. So we do require, our supervisors are required to have a bachelor's degree in order to become a supervisor. However, there's not necessarily a specific degree you have to have. Ideally, the degree would be in something like ABA, of course. There is bachelor's degrees in that specific arena, but it could be psychology. It could be early childhood education. It could be social work, which is what I have my degree in. Yeah, it doesn't have to be necessarily a specific degree, but kind of something in the realm of clinical work. And usually people who want to become supervisor are kind of staying in that trajectory of wanting to work ultimately in like a clinical type of position.
Thank you, Caitlin. I have another, we have a few more, like I said, and thank you for humoring some of these questions. Some of these questions we've gotten over time from these events from candidates. So from my feedback I get from candidates that these questions are awesome, and definitely in the recordings that they could definitely get a lot more information based off them. Some of the candidates are shy, so they don't necessarily, luckily they don't want to go on camera because they'll freak out. But we are getting a few questions in the chat, but some of the questions I'm asking you are questions that we've had in previous sessions. I think are very important to ask to get your guys' kind of views on. So the next one I wanted to ask, I think it's a fun question, is what is unique about your industry, organization, or office? And we'll go to Caitlin to start us off.
Yeah, I think that what's unique about this industry is that it's home based. That's something, and I've done it my whole career, but then when people ask about it, they're like, oh, that is kind of different. You're not in kind of this office. It's not, it's kind of, you don't know what to expect sometimes when we go into a new home. But I actually really enjoy that because you're meeting the family where they're at. You get to see the family dynamic. You get to see good things and bad things that they are dealing with. And it's, I think as clinicians, we have to be so compassionate to that because they might have struggles going on that are unrelated to the child who is getting therapy. So I really enjoy it, but it is a bit unique. I think you do have to, have a bit of courage just to go, hey, I'm going to this new client. I've never been in this home before, and just kind of come in and make myself comfortable to a certain extent. So yeah, it is a bit of a unique industry in that regard.
Lisa?
Good question. So I do get this question quite a bit because we're a staffing workforce, and there's a lot of different staffing agencies that are out there. So I know that what makes us different is the personal touch that we have. Kind of like what Caitlin was saying about how you go into someone's home and it just becomes personal right away. Well, Slingshot, we're in touch with you every step of the way, like literally every phone call, text. We're making sure that you're prepared. We're making sure that you're doing well while you're on your job assignment. We're making sure that you're going on to next steps for conversion. We're making sure, do you have family that's looking for work too? And we really do get those relationships built, not just with our associates, but we start, hiring their family, and it kind of just becomes this big group of, how we can help each other and who else can we help get to the next steps. And it's that personal touch I think that Slingshot has with not only our associates, but with our community partners, with our clients. That is what I think makes us different.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. I wanted to mention that I've been working with Slingshot for almost 7-8 years now. Also, when I started my career, that's where I met Slingshot Connections. I met another recruiter before Lisa, and like she said, it's like a family. You know, we always chat, even if it's not about work. You know, what you're doing this weekend. You know, good event. You know, what you know, and I ask them, do you have any positions? So I like that. That definitely you become part of their network and their family. So I love working with Slingshot Connections. And then also I have a similar relationship with Discover Hope, and I'm hoping to increase your guys' presence on Mission College as well. We're almost at time, so I just wanted to ask 2 more questions, and then after that, if we don't have any other questions, I was going to close the session. But please, employers, feel free at any time if you have anything that you want to express to the candidates or give your own opinions about you know, things that you think that need to be said about your industry. By all means, just let me know. I host these events, but definitely employers, I want you to feel that you're in control of this event too. And if you guys need to share it, something, just let me know and I'll give you the time. And thank you for everybody that's still with us at this point. You know, thank you for keeping your mics and audios off. And we are going to record this session, and it looks like I'm going to have a lot of information to put in the description of the YouTube channel. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to try to get it up by next week. But the next thing I wanted to ask was, do you have any tips for success for in the field that you guys are in? Go, Caitlin, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the tips that I would have, I think that ABA is such a broad field. There's so much to learn. So I think the biggest tips I'd have to be to anyone who is interested in this type of work is give it a try and really stick it out for a couple months or years, because it is such a steep learning curve in the beginning. It can feel a little overwhelming, and I felt that way too. But once it all kind of clicks and you become a very proficient behavior therapist, it's incredibly rewarding work. I like to kind of joke that there's a certain amount of like fake it till you make it mentality, because sometimes, you know, when you're going in, you're working with the kids, you feel a little bit like imposter syndrome. You're kind of like, I don't know, you know, how to do this, but you learn as you go, and that was my experience, and I think that's most people's experience. So I think my biggest advice would be to stick with it if it's something you're interested in, you enjoy. It's just kind of sticking with it and having fun. We have a lot of fun with just being playful and silly with the kids.
That sounds great. Lisa?
All right, so to be successful, well, in my job or for some of the jobs that we hire for, or just in general?
Well, I would say, because you guys have so many different offerings, what would you say would be giving them tips to put their best foot forward for those positions?
Yeah, you guys. Okay, so make sure that you know exactly what your job is asking you to do. So the job description that they send you, read through it, study it, know exactly what you're required to be doing, and then step into that and show up like that. Just really confidence, and then keeping yourself relevant, because times are changing every day, and we've known this before, and it's so true the last year. But so as new job titles are being developed, and as you're getting into a new job title yourself, maybe just barely getting into the workforce, just know exactly, have an idol, have someone that already does that job, follow them, see how they do it, ask them questions, pick their brain, and then that way you can show up as your best version of that. Just, I think the success comes from not only knowing exactly what it is that you're doing, but having a good example to follow to what you're trying to get into.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a good point, Lisa. What you would want to remember is that what you want to start doing is utilizing LinkedIn, and I could help you make one, and Lisa can help you as well. Is that you're going to use that as a marketing tool to market your skills to these great employers, as well as what Lisa hit on, which is called informational interviews. Now, that means that you're going to contact employers, not for a job, but you're going to see, especially for someone that's doing the job that you want to do, you'd want to see if they have time to kind of sit, like Lisa said, pick their brain. Find out what's the good thing about their industry, what's some things that they don't like about their industry, and what steps did they take to get into the field. It's very important that you guys do that, because what you're going to find out is that a lot of professionals like sharing their story. They like someone's asking them what kind of hardships or what kind of field of study did you do to be successful in your field. And as you do that, you're going to be becoming more knowledgeable in the company culture. What I found with a lot of hiring managers is that they're more likely to hire you if they can integrate you into the company culture. They wouldn't want someone, you know, if they have casual Fridays and you always want to wear a suit, that's something that you would want to know offhand. You don't want to go to the office and they're like, hey, it's casual Friday and he's wearing a tux. It's not going to work. You're going to be the odd one out. So it's definitely those type of things. And I have a lot of resources to help you guys with setting up informational interviews, as well as you guys can connect with me on LinkedIn. And I don't want to speak for the employers, but if they want to, I can make sure that we can see if they want to share their LinkedIn, which I'm pretty sure they would love to connect with all you candidates. Because what we want to do is build a network for you guys to support you guys with your career paths, as well as you know, getting you a job to definitely get some money. So the last thing I just wanted to say, and then I will close the session, we're almost at time, is that when they're doing their resume, do you guys have any, like, just real quick, and we won't go through the whole resume, but is there anything that you guys really would want them to have on their resume? And it just maybe one or two sentences. We'll start with Lisa and then go to Caitlin.
Yeah, don't leave anything out. Put as many details as you possibly can, and then go to a friend or a recruiter or a career developer to review it. Always get a second pair of eyes.
Thank you, Lisa. Caitlin?
Yeah, I'd second what Lisa said. And I think, yeah, just even if there's not a lot of work history, that's okay. Just having everything included. And then just checking for, you know, having someone check you for grammar and professional layout and things like that, just so it looks nice. And we all want our resumes to look nice. So.
Yes, thank you. The Career Services Center has a lot of great resources for resumes. And Lisa mentioned earlier in the call that she would be happy to help someone if they need help with their resume or even building a LinkedIn, which I think is a phenomenal thing to do. Most every big employer that you could think of is on LinkedIn. Slingshot is on LinkedIn. Discovery Hope is on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, but just as me. And you guys are more than happy to connect with me. That's another way we could chat. There's a chat function and we could chat that way too, as well as all the other ways you can connect with me. So I don't see any other questions. We have a lot of candidates saying thank you for both employers for coming to today's call. Thank you guys immensely. I know it's asking a lot to come on a Friday to be an hour on a Zoom call. So I definitely appreciate your time. So with that, if there's no other questions, I'm going to end the call. Thank you, Caitlin, so much. It was so awesome for you to be on the call, and your colleague as well. Maybe next time we'll have her join the call as well. Lisa, it's always a pleasure. Slingshot Connections is my my family, and I hope to continue to work with you guys here at Mission College.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.